So in this video, we're going to talk about a tournament-winning Lumineth list, which I think is the actual first tournament-winning Lumineth list that we've seen so far. Mainly because no one's been playing a tournament, but it's still quite a good army list. So that's going to be quite cool. I don't know if you guys saw it online, sort of like what Peter was tweeting and stuff like that.
I didn't follow it.
I avoid social media quite a bit. I don't look at it very much. So I got wind of it through WhatsApp through other people sharing it. So I did get wind of it. So it is a list that it was almost like Tom Maudsley-esque tendencies to it.
Yeah.
So
it's funny actually because you say Tom Maudsley, Joe Purcell sent me the list and said what beats this, and I was just like,
that way
I can
Tom's
think of a few things.
40 Blight Kings.
Yeah, potentially beat it. But yeah, like essentially, just to get into it, it's a one-drop Lumineth Realm Lords list, so everything fits in the Auralan Legion battalion. And I believe that the only reason the battalion's there is to get it to a one-drop, because you're not really going to want the reroll ones on the armor save. I mean, you might do for the Wardens, but essentially it's a Cathallar, and then it's 4 units of 10 Wardens, and then 4 units of 20 Sentinels. It's under Zaitrec, which is the Great Nation, which allows you to add 1 to casting rolls for first attempts for each wizard. So the Cathallar gets a +1 to cast, and then every unit gets +1 to cast for the first attempt. And then he's got the spell portal, well, I can't speak, a spell portal, and the Twin Stones, which is, again, the Twin Stones, as you cast spells, ticks over and gets you pluses to cast. So it's, again, quite handy. I think looking at the list, you've got sort of like Lambent Light on the Cathallar. So for me, it's a case of like one of the Wardens casts the portal, and then he uses Lambent Light through the portal to actually be able to target a hero or unit, which allows you then to reroll. And then all of the Sentinels buff themselves to get the mortal wounds on 5s. And then they've got, 80 shots with no line of sight, killing all the characters with mortal wounds on 5s.
Breakdown of what's in there.
Sorry, Byron?
Or breakdown of the list, like top to bottom, roughly.
It's Cathallar, 10 Wardens, 10 Wardens, 10 Wardens, 10 Wardens, and then 20 Sentinels, 20 Sentinels, 20 Sentinels, 20 Sentinels, and it all fits in the Auralan Legion as a one-drop. So it essentially kills all of your support characters on the first turn if it 8-drops you. So you've got no support characters.
What's the effective range on the bows? Because they're 30 if you're shooting at long range, isn't it? And they got a 6-inch move. Is it 36?
Yeah, I think it's. I've got the book next to me, which is going to not look good for the video. But...
No, it's fine. So most of these things, so most missions, you're deploying 12 on, aren't you? And then that allows you to move 6 and then shoot 30. So 12 add 36 is 48, which is the length of a table. So pretty much every mission you can hit whatever you want turn 1 and decide who goes first because you're a one-drop.
Screen it.
Yeah, and it's lofted aim. Obviously, if you're doing 30 inches, it's 4s and 4s. But you're not looking to actually do the wounds with the hits. You're looking to do the 5s for the mortal wounds.
Yeah, and you can re-roll any of the dice, can't you? Is that right?
Yeah, with Lambent Light.
Yeah.
With Lambent Light, you get to fish for the mortal wounds. So I think that's essentially how it plays, is that they all get +1 to cast, so they're doing their mortal wounds, adding the +1 to their mortal wounds for each of the Sentinel units. And then you Lambent Light from the Cathallar. So essentially, you sit there, you kill all the support characters turn 1. Or you kill a key piece in the army turn 1. The Cathallar's got a very good spell as well, which is if you can roll above your, it's sort of like a mini Bellicor. If you roll above your bravery, then it can't move or shoot, stuff like that. So you've got that as well. So you could maybe get lucky pinning a unit down, casting the spell there if you don't go for the Lambent Light in the first turn.
About damage terms down, kill the utility pieces, and then the next turn, especially if you get priority, you're in a pretty strong position, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Fire Slayers, for instance, like use it as an example. Like if you play against a Fire Slayers army, all of the support heroes are dead, which means then you don't get the Hermdar pile-in, you don't get the 4-up mortal wound save, you don't get any of the prayers that make you fast as a Fire Slayer unit, and then your 3 units of 20 movement 4 dwarves, and you just basically go, this turn, those are dead, this turn, those are dead, and then you try and outscore on the abilities, on the objectives.
So this list was, did you mention it was Peter?
Peter Qrkowski.
And on Twitter, it's what at Peter.
Peter Qrkowski.
Okay.
But we'll put the link in the actual video.
Yeah,
he's one of the Polish UTC guys. He's come over and he's played quite a lot of Daughters of Cain and some IDNF stuff. I know Laurie Huggett Wild's played him a couple of times. I know James Tinsdale's played him a couple of times at some of the GW events.
So I mean,
he's a good player as well.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it sounds like he went to one dare, didn't he? And he played against. He put what he played in. Have you got that in front of you?
Yeah, he played against Cities of Sigmar, 1-drop Stormcast Eternal shoot list, and he played against Change Host as well.
Not an easy run.
No, it's, I guess with these sorts of things though, it's like if you're playing against something like a Change Host, a lot of things in Age of Sigmar are so reliant on their support characters to make your units really good. So if you've got the ability to kill all of the support characters like early on in the game, you're then reliant on the overall power of your War Scroll to make it actually make that army then compete. I think there's a couple.
It's like one-upmanship, isn't it? You're taking the ultimate glass cannon. If it's versus the second best glass cannon, then it's just like you're going to wipe them before they get to be involved in the game, aren't you?
Yeah, I think if you don't win the roll-off and someone's got an Alpha 1's drop list as well, you're going to be in trouble. I think as well, if you've got some really, really good independent War Scrolls, so maybe, I don't know how it would fare against Daughters of Cain, like, Marath is not going to die. All the hags will die, maybe a unit of Witch Elves, but a unit of 10 Witch Elves kills that entire army, I think, possibly if it gets into combat.
What's the... If all of the thing, if you get all your bunnies in a row, what is the realistic output in terms of mortal wounds, at least, of that shooting? How many guys are shooting?
It's 80 guys shooting doing mortal wounds on 5s.
With rerolls.
And you're with
rerolls. Well, dependent. You can only reroll against one thing if the Lambent light spell goes off. So you pick a unit and then it rerolls against that.
Because
their
spell gives them +1, doesn't it, to the mortal wounds?
Yeah.
And then Lambent light
+1 to the sun metal.
Yeah.
So that's 40 mortal wounds at 36-inch potential range, basically.
Yeah. Okay. No line of sight. You don't need line of sight, so you can just pick. You kill all the heroes essentially, unless you've got Marathi, because Marathi just takes 3 wounds and then transforms. And
I think there's enough bodies though that you probably can absorb a Marathi if you take out enough of the other stuff. I think
she's only in one place, isn't she?
I think the especially if you're going first though, she's only small. If you can get to her and she's small, and you're only going to get. She's going to take 3 wounds, and she's 6 wounds. Then you've got 2 turns of her alive. I think, it's okay. I think in a bigger round tournament, like a 5-6 round, you might struggle because some of the missions, I think, like anything around heroes, you're going to struggle. I think any army that's very good against shooting, like Nurgle, with the minuses to hit.
Mortal save
and mortal saves, anything that can alpha strike, even the Legion of Night list that I wrote, you've got 90 bodies of skeletons that are going to walk across the table. You can do 30-40 mortals to that unit. I don't give a shit. They're going to come back.
You can leave your heroes on the table as well, Russ, so it's like you can shoot me anywhere on the board, not on the board.
And the Necromancer is quite tough to shoot because you're bouncing the wounds on a 4 anyway, and then you've got a death save, and then if you're shooting him, you're not shooting the 40 skellies, and they don't.
I can Deepkin as well,
and I can keep Manfred and the 2 units of Vargeist off the table to come on at any point I want. Flesh Eaters, I think, would be tough, just purely from the sheer amount of like shenanigans they can do.
Yeah, the speed as well.
I think IDNF are probably one of the hardest armies to fight with that because you can't shoot. You've got to shoot the closest thing. So you each unit can only kill one thing. You can't split your fire really.
Is it how the unit's broken up again? Is it 4 20s?
Yeah.
Four 20s of shooters and then 4 10s of spear elves. So the spear elves are probably going to be bunkered up in Shining Company, so they're going to be minuses to hit, doing rends on attacks. But I still don't think Wardens are actually that good in game terms. I may be wrong. I've always found them to be very, very slow and not particularly. There's nothing in the shooting does the heavy lifting in that army. The rest of it's there to score objectives, I feel.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really scenario-dependent list. Like, obviously, undoubtedly, it's incredibly strong, and it's let's say it's the Brian Carmichael approach of kill your opponent till they're dead, then win the game. It doesn't like if they're dead by turn 2, it doesn't matter what scenario you're playing.
No.
But if you break that down, especially if someone has mortal wound protection, Russ said Nurgle, like if someone's getting rid of a third of your, let's say it's 40 wounds, they're getting rid of a third of them. You've got 28 wounds. Like, what's that gonna do to Terry's list?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna kill 2 great unclean ones maybe, but you might kill 1.6 great unclean ones, which is awful because like one of them's coming back to life, and then you've got plague bearers, and if you get touched by anything fast that is resilient that goos you up in combat, it's going to absolutely maul you. It's undoubtedly very strong, but also in terms of deployment, having played one of the most shooting lists in the game for the ETC, like if my people watching, if my screen's a table, if you've got an army that splits into sections nicely, deploying like this ruins list like that. I know 36 inches is a long way, but if you deploy a blob here and a blob here, being in your back left and back right corner of your deployment zone, if you are in that one, or if you're split diagonally, it's even easier to be further away. Someone can come at you and you can then threaten a double, and most armies will be able to reach something with something on the double, or they might get up on objectives, like if it was Daughters, rocket Marathi into your opponent. She's been put in a safe position or whatever. The other trick with armies like that is you can end up, I've played against you with Fire Slayers in exactly this scenario, Les. You end up, you can split your units, and if you get under average a few times, let's say I shoot my 20 guys, I need to take out this Fire Slayer's hero and this Fire Slayer's hero. I split my shots 50-50, one dies, the other one gets lucky, bounces wounds onto, what's the unit you can bounce wounds onto?
It was the Auric Hearthguard, the shooters, so...
Yeah. So you bounce your wounds on some Auric Hearthguard, and you get a bit lucky with that, and with a mortal save anyway, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you put your next unit in, you split it, and you don't kill both heroes there because you get a bit unlucky. Then you suddenly start getting really worried because you've got 40 shots left, and you end up just about killing these things. But at that point, they've got the entirety of their unit there. So you would be really reliant on that unit not getting to you somehow. You've got a spell, but you really need things to go off in the right order. And if your opponent gives you a slightly trickier decision by deploying something off board or to the side, that's a real issue for lists like that. Having played with the Ruck myself, people touch you, you die.
Yeah, it's all about target priority as well, isn't it? It's like if you over allocate shooting to certain things, and you waste the shots. If you under allocate, you then obviously have to waste shots somewhere else. I do think I think it's very strong. I think in certain situations you're just going to auto win games where if you play against double an Nagash list and 30 of the OBR, infantrymen, I can't think what they're called. You kill Nagash on the first turn. Mortec Guard, 30, you kill Nagash on the first turn, and then the 30 Mortec Guard, come across the table. They're not particularly fast.
I think, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's I don't think it's auto-win. I think there's a lot of stuff in there that seems extremely strong, but, even Nagash, if you don't get the rerolls on him, you ain't killing the Gash with 2 units. There's no way. He's not.
No, you'd have to. You put all of them in there, wouldn't you? I think,
but you might be able to deploy in a way that you can't get them all in range.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing something like Total Conquest, we've got diagonal deployment boxes.
Yeah.
Or you're playing a sort of a Battle for the Past style for old school words. I don't know if it's still like that, but the sort of the
lengthways, table
lengthways, yeah. So you're playing on the short edges. I think it's still good. I think the problem with this list like this is that when you get into a situation that upsets you, or your pre-game, this technically in theory could beat most things in a certain certain circumstances, and it might be 80% of the time you're in those circumstances, but when you hit that 20%, you're just going to lose.
You're not going to learn how to combat those situations, because what are you going to learn with a list like that?
Well, you don't have any tools in your toolbox to get around it, and you're going to have to rely on them getting lucky, like you getting lucky, or like your Wardens probably slightly overperforming in terms of resilience, or your them being slightly, you're overperforming with your shooting, or the priority roll going your way, which is, in a way, you get that with Age of Sigmar anyway.
Yeah,
so it's quite a clever army. I'm not sure it's going to be as dominant as it probably appears from that one result, especially on a one day. It is even more polar if you get the perfect storm. In a way, it's a bit like the Halo Heart list. On paper it looks amazing. Some matches it just falls over.
Speaking from a vast amount of experience with this type of list, having played it for like a year, the things that really hurt you are and this is why I crafted my list to push the odds again and again and again and make it more and more extreme, is anything that is more than a certain amount under average really screws you over, like massively. So you put 20 shots into something that's got 10 wounds, and with your rerolls you do 7. Your next guy you put in, and you might massively over allocate there, and then you've lost those shots, and you're halfway through your damage potential of your army, and you've killed, like, I don't know, you've done 3 wounds to Marathi, and then you've killed, like, a hag got lucky with its rerolls or whatever. You've killed Marathi and a hag, and you've got a certain amount of shots left. And some armies out there, Witch Elves, they don't need that much help. They're not really immune to battle shock. They'll still go in and they'll mullet anything. Like your entire list, I've lost an entire Cunning Ruck to Marathi, a Cauldron, and 7 Witch Elves before. And if you push your army to this level of extremes, it's really hard to cope with. Also, if someone sends 5 cavalry at you, like, I know it sounds small, someone puts 5 Cavallos Death Riders into you, and they can reach you pretty easily. They put them into you and get a double, you could lose half your army, half your effective damage potential of your army in 2 turns. Like, just done.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's a really good team event list, because you could control the scenario in the matchup. And I think it's interesting because it's an efficient, what I call an efficient army, where every element of that list is working towards the same combination of factors. So there isn't really any leeway in it, because as soon as you put anything else in the list, it loses the 1 drop, which is critical. So there isn't really any evolution of this army. So I think there'll be a time where, for example, if something comes on that is a perfect counter, a perfect foil to this that's popular, this list just doesn't exist anymore. It's not from a tournament point of view, if you want to go in and go 5 for 5, or you just go and hope you don't play that thing.
If you played Skaven, even, like, look at it as a small amount of elite damage, and it might be doing it in a unique way and at range, but the things that foil those lists generally are lots of bodies, elite saves, so mortal wound saves here. Like Nagash would prefer to be shot by things that give him a mortal wound save rather than Ren 3 shooting, because he gets the mortal save or he gets an armor save. You can modify an armor save, you can't modify his mortal save. So those things can really, really get you unstuck. Does it have any movement shenanigans or anything like that, or speed, or?
No. It's all very static almost.
Yeah. So
one of the things. Oh, sorry, Karen Byron.
I was just going to say that's really important. Russ said it initially. Like it's got one plan and it does it to a really good degree, and that plan's a very amount of pretty reliable damage. But if you don't have anything else, like when I played the Brook, the double move spell was without that the army wouldn't have worked, because you have to have something to back up the shooting. Yeah.
It's I do think for me what it does do is, I think this list is very good, and like Russ says, it's in a team event it could be a go-to, because you can skew the matchups with it. But I think what it does highlight is that maybe a more balanced Lumineth list has 2 units of 20 of those Sentinels in, and like you do it light, and then you have a few other bits and pieces in the army list. I think
5 cabinet list, different, like 3 drops, but completely different.
I think maybe you drop some of the bits out of it and don't go down that route. That's just me personally. And obviously we're discussing like Peter's list here, and I think that maybe if we've totally misinterpreted it, and like I'm sure Peter will be able to let us know what we've said.
Don't get me wrong, I've given all these ways
yeah.
you could beat it, but that would mullen most things I put on the table.
Yeah, don't go out and buy it because you can't, and also I don't want to face it. So no, but I think we should just say congratulations for the achievement and thanks for sharing your list. And let us know if you listen to this and if you've got any comments.
Well.
And if we've missed a key point, let us know. We'll address it on a future show. But thanks for sharing that with the community, and I look forward to never facing that an event.
Not
so Legion of Night's happening, boys, I tell you. So okay, so I think that'll wrap this section up, and we'll come back with the next bit.
So if you agree or disagree with anything we've said, please talk to us in the comments. If you'd like to like and subscribe, you can get all the updates as we go forward with some more videos.
Yeah, pop your army list below as well. Like if you've got a more balanced version of that you think is super viable, then we'd love to see it, and Russ will build it and paint it.
Maybe not, but we will talk about it. So if you want to put your list in the comments, and we'll take that on board, and then we'll talk about it in the next show. So engage with us, guys, and help us make more content.